Hello there, I'm Tara Scabella, founder and guide of Earth Tantra. I'm here in my tiny house. This is where I live, and I'm really excited to have you in my home this time. So I am going to share with you 3 things that I do at the beginning of each year. These are the traditions that I've woven into the month of January, and they're really important to me. I've been doing them for about 5 years now. One I've been doing for 4 years. And yeah, I'm just really excited to share these traditions with you, and hopefully one, maybe all, might resonate with you and to help you giving gratitude to the previous year and welcoming in the new year. And if you have not subscribed to Earth Tantra's YouTube channel, I invite you to do so now. So the 3 things I'm going to share with you are, the first one that I always do is giving gratitude for the previous year, and then looking into the new year and reflecting on the past year of visions and goals, intentions, and then my draw of tarot cards. So I'm going to talk first about giving gratitude to the previous year. And I usually start this around sometime between Christmas and the new year. I come up with a design, and each year I've done something different. For 2020, it was a leaf because this was a year of growth. And I write down 100 things that I am grateful for that year. Some things that I was grateful for this year was honey, honey that you eat, my breath, time to trust. We had a lot of time. At least I did in 2020. Women of Wisdom. So that's an organization out of Seattle. And I was able to present with them right before COVID hit. Cacao. That's one of my plant medicines. The best partner in the world. So my amazing nesting partner. And so these are just some of the examples of gratitude, of things that meant a lot to me in 2020. So I've been doing this for the past 5 years, and I also want to share with you some other examples of 100 senses of gratitude for the years in the past. So what I really love about 100 Senses of Gratitude is that this is a really fun family project as well. So if you have kids, it's something that they can do, or it's something that you write and make together as a family, and it can be a really lovely art project. The other thing I love about 100 Senses of Gratitude is that you don't have to sit down and do it, within a half hour or an hour. When I work on mine, I actually leave it out for a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, just depending on the year. And it gives me a really nice time to be able to reflect on all the lovely things that happened to me and all the gifts that were brought into my life, not only for myself, but from other people. And it's nice to also kind of reflect on moments, on memories, on emotional support, different gifts and energy and lessons and growth versus actual things. So I hope that 100 Senses of Gratitude resonates with you on some level, especially if you have kids. What a beautiful way to bring in the new year. So the second thing that I would like to share with you, and I started this one 4 years ago now, and I list not a lot, but just some deep intentions that I have for me for the year. And I actually do okay on these. So they're kind of like New Year's goals, and we think, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. They're not quite like that. These are intentions and goals that I set not only for me, but for my business. So I'm going to share with you the ones that I had for 2020. And this is my personal list. In 2020, I didn't do so well, but I'll share some of these with you. And again, I like to make into an art. And I actually place these in my bedroom, and they're in a place that I can see them every single day. And I reflect upon them throughout the entire year, not on a daily basis. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's a few times a week, and other times it just might be a couple times a month. So it was really important for me to have no coffee for 5 months. And I did that as soon as COVID hit. That was super, super easy for me to do. And I actually extended that one during the rest of the year. I only had maybe like a few cups of coffee, a handful of cups of coffee the second part of the year. My winter coat had been around for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, that I wore every day in the winter. And up here in the mountains, you wear it a ton. And I just needed a new winter coat to feel warm inside my body. So I ended up getting a new winter coat. There were some things that I could not accomplish. And I have circled here. These were the things that I did not completely finish that are circled. One was to take a trip with my daughter. And we were unable to do that, of course, during COVID. And then as things started to lift, we did make a trip. And we booked a trip to Las Vegas, and that was in early December, but then numbers rose and we had to cancel that trip. So that one was not reached. I had a goal last year specifically, and I made this before COVID even hit, was to not travel internationally. That was a really good year for that goal. That was super easy to accomplish. I also had a goal to compete in a regional single action shooting society competition. So I do cowboy action shooting for fun. It's a really fun sport and a really great community. This summer, I was able to compete in a state match, and I actually placed. I got second. That was really exciting. Another thing was to release 365 objects. I have been acquiring way too many things, not only for my personal use, but also for Earth Tantra events, and I don't use many of them anymore. So I donated, and or threw away. Some things were just trash, 365 things. This is just an example of some of the goals that I had for 2020. And so I reflect on these, and I love these boards. You can get them at any store, really. I think I actually got these at Walmart, and then you can just paint over them and then reuse them every year. So I use this one for 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And then this was a success. I really concentrated on my business, and I was able to meet almost all of these goals versus the more personal me goals where I didn't do as quite well. Some examples of these was to develop an outdoor covered kitchen for Earth Tantra Retreat Center. And so I ended up just buying a pop-up tent, and so we can eat underneath a sheltered space. I had a goal to make 5 article contributions. I made 7 in 2020. That was pretty exciting. And let's see, what other one do I want to include? Oh, I wanted to get a Tantra yoga certification. That's also personal for me. And I got a 200 Tantric and Kundalini yoga certification. So this is another example. And I actually keep 2 separate. I keep one for me personally, and then one also for work. That just works best for me, but perhaps yours might be a little bit different. And I've used these boards for some years now, and the quality I noticed last year when I painted over it, I had to paint over it probably like 10 times, and down deep it's a little soft because of, maybe it's the paint that I use. I think I use acrylic paints, I'm not even sure. So this year I decided to buy new boards, and but you can use them as many times as you want. You just may have, depending on the paint that you use, you just may have to keep painting over them several times. So I started a new one for 2021. Haven't written anything on this one yet. I usually keep the Tantra one green, and you can tell it's a little bit of a different pattern. And this year I'm gonna write in my intentions in a circle, so I'm pretty excited. I've done that before, but I feel called to do that again for 2021. And then this year's personal goals, I've actually put a few of them on the board already that I did not finish last year. One is Ruby's trip, so take a house or take a trip with my daughter Ruby. I am going to release another 365 things because I have a storage unit and I'm moving into a new house that we're building. I'll be out of the tiny house. I'm pretty excited about that, but we'll miss tiny house living. So I know there's a lot of stuff in my storage unit that I'm gonna have to get rid of that I haven't even touched for 6 years now. So to release another 365 things. A goal that I had down from last year that I met is to make a better garden. So it can be something simple as that, make a better garden. And I know that my garden will be even better than last year. And then another goal that I had last year that I almost met, I was just a few days shy, but I'm putting it back on for this year, is 10 days of silent meditation. And I just have 10 days. It doesn't mean it needs to be consecutive. I just need to hit that 10 days total throughout the year. And what I love about these boards is even though I fill them out during the month of January, again, I don't sit down and do it in a half hour or an hour or even a day. It takes weeks for me to reflect upon these and decide my intentions for the entire year. Is that I do leave spaces so I can go back and add something even in February or March, sometimes even April. I usually don't add, if anything, after April or May. And I have no attachment to if I don't meet that goal that I'm a failure, because I don't believe that at all. It just meant, okay, so my focus for the year ended up shifting, or things came up like COVID and my life was turned around in ways that I wasn't expecting. And who knows, maybe some of the goals that you made can even be part of your 100 senses of gratitude. So let's move on to the third thing that I do every year. And that is to draw some tarot cards. And I'm not a tarot card reader. I do draw cards just a handful of times during the year when I feel called to. But at the beginning of the year, I like to draw cards. I originally started this as more of a, does this really work? I want to prove that it does or that it doesn't. So kind of that non-believer stance. And I started off, and I continue this process today by drawing one card for each month of the year. So I lay down from January all the way to December. Sometimes I'll lay them out in a circular pattern, and then other times I'll lay them out four cards in rows of 3. So 12 cards total. And when I started this, I would look at the cards in January when I drew them and I would take a picture of them. But then I would go back at the end of each month and just to see if that card was drawn true to the events that had unfolded. And of course, year after year after year, these cards spoke true. And it really, really amazed me. So this year I am shifting the way that I think. And what I've done is that I have written down, not only did I take a picture of my cards, but I have written down what that card means for each month. And so at the beginning of each month now, I am going to read perhaps what that month is going to unfold so I can follow the direction or the suggestions or the tips to foresee what unfolds in that month. So just for example, February of 2021, I drew the Page of Wands. And so that month will be centered around free spirit, inspiration, embracing a new journey, new ideas, map strategy, testing new ideas. And it's also a good time for a mentor to present themselves and to help guide me. And so just to be open to somebody who says, hey, here's some suggestions. Maybe you might want to try this, and just be really in tune to the suggestions and the energy behind each month according to what I've drawn. So these are the 3 things that I love to do every year. Again, 100 senses of gratitude, setting an intention. And if we make them, like this year, I did amazing with Earth Tantra. that's a huge success in my life, and helps me feel really, really good. And then kind of something that's fun and to keep your eyes and ears open for messages, for gifts, are the tarot cards. All right, if you have any suggestions that you would like to share with Earth Tantra's YouTube listeners, please share them below. Thank you so much for joining me in this time, and hopefully these New Year's practices resonated with you, at least one that you can bring into your life. Something really simple, something really easy.